Hello and welcome to Y Media Political Sensex. I'm your host, Ramona Singh. And as one election cycle ends here in Ontario with the Ontario elections that just wrapped up not too long ago, well, it's the onset of the Conservative leadership election that will have a new leader picked on September 10th, and it's escalating when it comes to some of the ballots, the candidates that are on the ballot, with Patrick Brown, Mayor of Brampton, and Pierre, who's also an Ontario area MP in the Ottawa region. Well, it seems that Patrick Brown has made an official announcement about his future of running for the Conservative Party if he does not become the leader come September 10th. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's go back a little. There are 6 people on the final ballot where Conservative members will get a ballot sent to their home address, which is registered for their membership. Registration for memberships ended June 3rd. And this is now the time where the party is going to go through what they're expecting as 600,000 memberships based on the announcements by the different campaigns of how many memberships they sold. And this is a chance for all the candidates to be able to reach out to all the members to get on the ranked ballot. What's a ranked ballot? Well, the ballot that members will get to their home address will be 6 options they get. Out of the 6 candidates, they get to rank who they want to be the next leader of the Conservative Party. They can choose 1 or up to 6, which gives the party a chance when those ballots are mailed back to party headquarters in Ottawa to be able to go through it. On first count, there will be 5 counts. On the first count, essentially, if no candidate out of the 6 get over 50 points, well, 50% of the points, then you go to second count, and then the candidate with the lowest number of votes will drop off. Their votes will go to the next one in the second count, and it will continue until there is a leader for the Conservative Party that reaches that 50% point base that is being calculated on in an electoral way to make sure that no one riding out of 338 ridings in Canada can overtake and make a leader, but essentially the way it's demonstrated and evened out for the electoral vote for the Conservative leadership. Now, Patrick Brown made a very bold statement yesterday as Pierre Poilievre's campaign has for quite some time created a doubt in terms of if Patrick is going to either run for mayor or he's going to stay on board and run for the leadership, and where does his loyalties lie is essentially what Pierre Poilievre's executive campaign person, Jenny Burns, has made statements on mainstream media. And yesterday, in Power and Politics on CBC, while Patrick Brown was giving an interview, he says that he won't run for the Conservative Party if Pierre Poilievre wins the leadership. So that puts a lot of speculation to rest. It's not the only thing he said. I'm going to cover the announcement that he made yesterday, which really put things in a clear picture for Patrick Brown's future. He is the mayor of Brampton. Brampton has over 600,000 residents. It's estimated it could be, even up to 1 million based on documentation of people who actually live in Brampton when it comes to multi-level units, homes that are split into units. So it's a big city. It's a big GTA city, and Patrick Brown has been quite popular to be able to win votes in the GTA, as he was also the leader of the PC party, where he took Christine Elliott back in the 2016 election, where he became leader, and he had to step down just months before the 2018 general election in Ontario. But he's shown that he can make memberships. He's shown that his relationships with people in the GTA and his message seems to resonate with the residents of the GTA. And here he says, I just don't believe he could, and he's referring, this is Patrick Brown's statement in his interview, and he's referring to Pierre Poilievre, who is deemed to be the front runner for quite some time since the beginning of this election cycle for the Conservative leadership. He says, I just don't believe he could win seats in the GTA, is what the mayor says. And this is, as you know, the mayoral election, the municipal election, is scheduled this year, October 24th. That's a Monday, October 24th, 2022. The deadline for candidacies to be able to put in your papers to run in the October 24th election. Well, it's on August 19th. It's at 2 p.m. This is for the municipalities in Ontario. And this is something that long have been speculated, that if Patrick Brown is going to put in his papers for that deadline of August 19th, 2022 by 2 p.m. to run for his seat again as mayor of Brampton. And now he's saying that if the results don't end up the right way on September 10th, then for where Pierre Poilievre could become leader, then he's not going to run. That means he's not going to seek a riding to run as an MP in the next election. That might be in 2025, where right now you have the supply and agreement pact between Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh that will support the Liberal budget in the minority government until 2025. So Patrick Brown is saying that, you know what, I'm not going to run as a candidate for a Pierre Poilievre Conservative Party. And here is his statement. I'm going to read you what he says. He did say, yes, he could run under Pierre Poilievre if he becomes leader, and meaning that it's not that they're going to stop him to become a candidate. He says, I could run under them, absolutely. They have the capacity. Sorry, this is a statement he's referring to two other candidates, and I'll come back to that because I think it's very important. So in his statement, when it comes to Pierre Poilievre, he says, with Pierre Poilievre, I just don't believe he could win seats in the GTA. I think his message is too divisive. Even as a popular mayor in the GTA, I don't think I could win a seat with a leader like him. So for me, following the federal route with Pierre wouldn't make much sense, is what he says in his interview. That was just yesterday. And so this is quite shocking, which also clears the path for him to potentially put in his papers by August 19th in the case where he doesn't become leader and Pierre Poilievre becomes the leader of the Conservative Party. And to that, he even goes a step further, and he says that he would seek the candidacy under a Jean Charest leadership or a Leslyn Lewis leadership. So if he doesn't become leader come September 10th, but Jean Charest becomes the leader of the Conservative Party or Leslyn Lewis becomes the leader of the Conservative Party, he will seek an election for the Conservative Party as an MP under those two leaders. And this is the statement that he says, I could run under them, absolutely. They have the capacity to win the next general election, when he's referring to Jean Charest and Leslyn Lewis. So what does that mean for what he'll do before August 19th deadline for municipal papers candidacy to run for mayor? Well, he could very well put his paper in and see and hope for the best, that in case Pierre Poilievre, who's the front runner, wins the election September 10th, then he could say, well, you know what, I'm going to run as mayor and I'm not going to seek an election because I don't think I can win in the GTA. So very, very bold statements of what is to come. And when it comes to Pierre Poilievre, well, Patrick Brown on pretty much day one, day two of his campaign, when he gave an exclusive interview to Y Media, Yudhvir Jaswal, who's the group editor, well, he started talking about Pierre Poilievre, saying that Pierre Poilievre supported the niqab ban back in the 2015 election, which was a ban at citizenship ceremonies, and also the barbaric cultural practices. That was part of that campaign election in 2015 under Stephen Harper and the tip line. And so he says that those messages will not resonate. And also Bill 21 in Quebec, which is to remove any religious garbs if you are a public servant. He says that Pierre Poilievre has not really stood up for that, and he has been quiet on that. And for those reasons, he doesn't think his message is going to resonate in the GTA area where, you know, Ontario is needed to form the next general election. There are 121 federal seats in Ontario. There's 78 seats in Quebec, and the two provinces have the most number of seats, and it seemed for quite some time that they're needed. Now, in the last two elections, we've seen the Bloc Québécois do very well in Quebec, knowing that now it's really Ontario that's mainly needed. There are the 416, which is the 25 ridings in Toronto, but then the 905 are very significant, such as Peel Region, where you have 5 seats in Brampton, 6 seats in Mississauga. There's York Region, which is also the 905s, and Durham Region, which also contribute to those swing ridings where it goes back and forth between the Liberals and the Conservatives by a few percentage points when it comes to York Region. All key seats where Patrick Brown is saying that he is not going to be able to form a government if he were to run under Pierre Poilievre. And now the membership deadlines that ended on June 3rd have now there's speculations of how many memberships did they actually sell each campaign. And now there is another feud over the statements that were released by each campaign. Well, campaign for Patrick Brown released a statement that they sold 150,000 memberships. And that is a very significant number as that was what he was projecting. But Pierre Poilievre, well, he put out a statement saying that they sold over 311,000 memberships, so more than double Patrick Brown's numbers. And Patrick Brown has now said that that those statements don't seem right to him, because he says that the Conservative Party membership in good standing for members was 140,000 before the race started. So there's 140,000 members for the Conservative Party who were in good standing when the race started. And if Pierre Poilievre signed up 311,000 members and Patrick Brown signed up 150,000 members, and the party headquarters saying that they're expecting 600,000 memberships that they're combing through right now, that means essentially Roman Baber, Scott Aitchison, Jean Charest, and Leslie Lewis almost sold no memberships when you do the calculations. So what he's saying is he's saying that he would like to see the list of the members that that campaign made, Pierre Poilievre's campaign, to which Pierre Poilievre's campaign has come back to say that those are against the rules. Jenny Burns, who is a former senior advisor to Prime Minister Stephen Harper and who's an executive in Pierre Poilievre's campaign, she says that those would be against the rules before the party certifies the memberships. What does that mean, certifying the memberships? Well, once the memberships are sent in, the party staff are going through them to make sure that the rules were followed, which is the member has to be 14 years and older to be a member. They have to be a resident in the riding that they live in, and they'd have to pay by either a check from their bank account or from a credit card registered under the name of the person taking the membership. Now, in the case where a person's 14 years old, they don't have a credit card, then it would be under their parents' credit card and the registered name. So that means no cash and no prepaid credit cards, and that is something that they're combing through. And once when the list is ready, well, they're going to send it to all the different campaigns to be able to view it and go over it. Now, when it comes to the Conservative Party, well, they're saying that they're going to get the list out in a month's time by no later than July 29th, as the final ballot needs to be mailed out in July and August to come back to party headquarters for them to count it manually when it comes to feed it to the system to make sure that the ballots are correct, they've been identified, they've been marked off the right way, and to correlate it to the membership number, the members number that it went out to. And they're saying that they're still gonna expect the date for September 10th and not change any dates when it comes to announcing the next leader for the Conservative Party. So lots going on in terms of what it means when it comes to the party. They're saying they're going to do their best and make sure that the final list goes out by that date at the end of July. And what that means is all of August, well, the campaigns are going to be contacting who are on the membership list, going to be calling them and making sure that there's contact there to find out, can they be supported? If not in first place, then in second, third, or potentially anywhere on the ranked ballot, just not to stay off is what's needed. And the nod that Patrick Brown made to Jean Charest's campaign and Leslie Lewis perhaps could mean that somebody who would support Patrick Brown would also support Jean Charest or Leslie Lewis, possibly on the ranked ballot, or put him in second or third when Leslie Lewis is first or Jean Charest is first. And that's what the ranked ballot essentially is for any of the members who think that, you know what, these candidates align with my views and they're the ones who I want to see, and I'm not going to put the other candidates that are far from the views. What do I mean by that? Well, there's social conservatives, there are red Tories, there are fiscal conservatives, there are libertarians, all types of conservatives when it comes to the big tent party. And essentially, it's the member who, based on what type of conservatism speaks to them, is the candidate that they're going to choose. And also, I think the biggest thing is about making sure that the next candidate can go and win the next election, either against Justin Trudeau or whoever the Liberals will put up for their candidate in the next general election, as the Conservatives have lost 3 elections in 2015, 2019, and 2021, all to Justin Trudeau. So essentially, the members are looking at who is going to be able to take the incumbent, a Liberal leader, on and win the next election. Although there's a lot of speculation that that will be by 2025, it will be 10 years until Justin Trudeau is in place, and by then there might be a blue wave as the general public, after that many years of the same party serving, then they're more likely to switch, which is what happened to Stephen Harper and what's happened to other governments where they've fallen after they reached that 10-year mark, where we saw, although in Ontario, we saw the Liberals hold power for 15 years, but now we've seen in 2 elections where they've decimated below the target rating of being a registered party. So that's where we're at. Now, as this continues, well, we know that Patrick Brown's campaign had a minor setback when it comes to MP Kyle Seaback and MP Dan Muse, who left support for Patrick Brown and have joined now the Pierre Poilievre campaign after he made his announcement of selling more than 300,000 party memberships. This is quite a setback for Patrick Brown, as he's losing support by sitting MPs who could mobilize the memberships in their ridings that are quite significant. And when it comes to the latest news, well, there is announcements that potentially the chair of Patrick Brown's campaign, MP Michelle Rempel-Garner, who is a Conservative MP in Calgary Nose Hill. Well, she's very popular in that area. She's considering running for the Alberta United Conservative Party after what we saw happen to the leadership review of Jason Kenney, the sitting premier in Alberta. Well, he's decided to step down, only receiving 51.4% of the vote when it comes to his leadership by the party members of the United Conservative Party, where there are 60,000 members, but out of that, he got 51.4%, and he decided to step down until there's a next leader in place. And so there's speculation that MP Michelle Rempel-Garner is considering a run in her home province, but it's said that by sources close to her that she's mulling the run for seeking the top job in the province for the party. After the rules are announced, the rules will be announced after this weekend of how much money it takes to, register as a candidate, what are the rules around membership, all the things you need to know before you announce your leadership bid. This is Y Media Political Sensex. This is what's been going on so far when it comes to the Conservative leadership election. Stay tuned with us as we have all the details you need to know on this election cycle. I'm Ramona Singh, your host, Y Media Political Sensex.